Perfect. Hi, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for your time this afternoon and joining us for the information session on this wonderful opportunity, the Luksic Visiting Scholars Program at Harvard's David Rockefeller Center for Latin American Studies. My name is Gabrielle Trasati. I'm the Outreach Coordinator at the Luksic Foundation. Perhaps you had previously known us as Fundación Luksic Scholars, but we now actually fully form part of the Luksic Foundation this year, the start of this year, continuing to still maintain the same programs that we have. But yes, that has been the big change of this year. In terms of today's session, I'll provide some information on the Luksic Foundation and what we do and the current programs that we have. And then I will pass it over to Maria Lopez Portillo. She forms part of the Harvard DRCLAS team. She's the program director and oversees the Visiting Scholars Program. And she'll sort of be your main point of contact for any questions you might have. And she has a wonderful presentation for us today to get you all of the details and information that you need. And then we also have another special guest, Eduardo Undurraga. He's an associate professor and director of research at Universidad Católica's School of Government. He did this program back in 2022, and so he'll be sharing his firsthand experience with us today. And then we will have some time for a Q&A at the end. We will make sure to send a copy of this recording to you guys via email, and also provide you with the emails of the DRCLAS team if you have any pending questions after the session. So at the Luksic Foundation, we believe in empowering through training and education. And by empowering people, with the focus being on people, we hope to contribute to the country's development. And we have 5 different areas of action. The first being in education and vocational training and lo técnico profesional. We're also in entrepreneurship, sports, international education, which is the focus of today, and additional support, which includes emergencies and donations. And in terms of our vision in this Formación Internacional and international education is by connecting Chile with the world, connecting Chile with this global community, we hope to better address the challenges of today, not just in Chile, but globally as well. And so therefore, we promote access to cutting-edge educational programs for Chileans, and this is done in collaboration with international institutions, much like Harvard DRCLAS. And our story actually began with Harvard DRCLAS. This is the first program. It kicked us off when it comes down to international education opportunities. And since then, we've been able to implement programs across 7 countries, 18 institutions, 30 different types of programs have been implemented, and in culmination, over 2,000 Luksic scholars, Eduardo being one of them, have been able to benefit and participate in a program supported by the foundation. And then in 2019, just a few years back, we sort of looked back and thought, there's over 1,000 Luksic scholars who've passed through a program supported by the foundation before, and how can we connect them together? How can we offer them post-program opportunities? And that's when the alumni community, the Luksic Scholars community, was created. I'll explain a bit about those benefits in a few minutes. And so in terms of the types of programs that we offer currently, we have 3 main types. The first being master's scholarships, and these are full scholarships at the postgraduate level. They include the tuition, arrival cost, living stipend, really so that students do not have to worry about any of the finances. Of course, in research, what we're here for today, we have international fellowships for academics in Harvard DRCLAS, of course, as well as Stanford class, and a doctorate in political science for those who are perhaps interested in spending 6 or 7 years doing a doctorate in poli-sci at MIT. These are also fully financed, program cost, arrival cost, a living stipend. The living stipends based off the cost of living with each city, for example. So we offer different master's scholarships around different parts of the world. That's taken into account. And then we also have courses in Chile. So sort of the concept of internationalization, to bringing it here. So we invite international experts and academics to essentially give short courses to Chileans here on the ground. And these are sort of capacitaciones or certifications, so to say. And then all of those who pass through these programs are invited to the Luksic Scholars community, which is a wonderful international alumni network. And so if you ask me, Gabby, how do I apply? How do I access these opportunities? Well, the first is to actually do some research on the admissions and selection criteria. The foundation, we do not participate in the admissions, selection, adjudication of the funding processes or protocols. We leave these in the hands of the institutions, of the universities. So if you're looking to apply to Harvard DRCLAS, you apply directly to Harvard DRCLAS. This goes for all of our programs, and you essentially await their response, whether you've been selected for the opportunity. And so just to provide an overview of the opportunities we have in research, there are 3 fellowship spots available each year for researchers of any academic discipline who are currently carrying out a role in a Chilean academic institution. So this goes for Chilean nationals or Chilean permanent residents. You simply need to be working in a Chilean academic institution. And then, as I mentioned, we have 1 scholarship available, and this is annual for Chilean candidates who are looking to complete a doctorate in political science. So this is a bit of a snapshot, I should say, of what this looks like. And in terms of the Harvard DRCLAS program, as I mentioned, this was the first program that we have, and we're very proud to be partnering with Harvard DRCLAS. This program is unique in the sense that you go with a cohort. DRCLAS chooses, if I'm not mistaken, 10 to 15 academics from Latin America who go to Harvard's campus together. You really get to form that sense of community. You spend 4 months there on campus getting to access these top-notch facilities, connections, really building your network, for example. And the focus of this, again, is interdisciplinary. There is no preference in terms of which academic discipline you come from. The idea, and that's sort of the beauty of the program, is that you get academics from many different disciplines that come together. The opportunity itself, it does cover all of the arrival cost, health coverage, a living stipend, access to the university's facilities. I know Maria will cover a bit on this soon. The program is a 4-month duration. You can choose whether to go in September or January. I know that summer here is January, so that's probably that nice month to go if you don't have classes. I'm sure Eduardo can maybe talk on that as well. And applications are currently open. They close September 23rd, so I know that 18 and las fiestas patrias are coming up, but do keep that in mind to try to get your application in early. And Maria will be here to explain all of the criteria and the requirements for the application itself. And just to close before I pass it along, we at the foundation are not just looking, of course, we love to be able to provide the financial support for people to be able to participate in these programs, but we're really looking to offer this full support, this before, during, and after. We really want to get to know you. I remember with Eduardo, we went and visited him at the DRCLAS office that they have here in Santiago. We met with him before he went to Harvard's campus. While he was there, Eduardo, how's it going? How are you? Doing sort of those check-ins. And then, of course, after the program, inviting him back here, having him on these info sessions so he can share his experience with others. That's really what we're looking to provide. We're looking to also connect you with other scholars. There are now 25 scholars who've passed through this specific program. So getting you in touch with them to hear about their experience firsthand. And with that said, we also do continue to provide the financial support. We have an annual fund that we offer to members of the Luksic Scholars community each year. You can apply for up to $5,000 for initiatives, whether this be sort of a personal initiative of doing an executive education course, you're writing a book, or something more on the professional side. So we're really looking forward to seeing who will be the next Luksic Scholar. Thanks again for your time, and I'll go ahead and hand it over to Maria, and we're happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you so much. So I'm gonna share my screen real quick.
Perfect.
So you can all see the presentation.
Yeah, it's not presentation mode. Perfect.
Perfect. Okay, so thank you first for coming, for your interest in the program, for being here and asking questions. Thank you to Gabriel and to the Fundación Luksic for collaborating with us for so many years and organizing this information session, to Eduardo, and also special thanks to our Chile regional office in Santiago, who is a big player in making the Fundación Luksic Visiting Scholars program such a success. So what I want to do is to walk you through the goals of the program, the eligibility requirements, and spend some time walking you through the application process to see if you have questions at the end, and a bit of what information we give you about living in Cambridge. So as Gabrielle already mentioned, we have three main goals with the Visiting Scholars and Fellows program at DRCLAS. The first one is to host a cohort of distinguished academics and practitioners from very disciplinary fields every year. This means that we want to have multiple fields represented, that we invite people to apply from different fields and different research interests. And what we want is to bring this distinguished cohort and have them form a community of multivaried, like multi-field, multi-country researchers and practitioners. We want to provide this set of unique scholars and fellows with a unique space to create these impactful collaborations across Latin America, the Caribbean, and the United States. And we do that by, having DRCLAS, you have your home base, but we connect you throughout Harvard to Harvard faculty, to our research clusters, to our students, so that you can really pursue your research interests. And we also Gabrielle mentioned this, we want to for you to stay in touch and to be part of your research trajectory and your career trajectory. So we want to maintain these networks of collaboration after the program completion through the, keeping in touch with the DRCLAS Chile office and through our expanding multi-country alumni community. So in terms of the format of the program, so this is a residential program. You are required to be in Cambridge for the duration of your stay at DRCLAS, and you can apply to, as Gabrielle said, for one academic semester, so starting in September or in January, and you receive funding for that semester. You can also choose to stay for one full academic year from September to May, in which case you need to find additional sources of funding. So I'll explain this a little bit more further on, and you can also ask questions. In terms of what we expect from you, we expect a lot of engagement. So we expect you to present your research in a colloquium at DRCLAS. We expect you to communicate actively with faculty, with students, for you to build these networks that we are giving you access to use the resources we are providing. And we want you to participate actively in DRCLAS, right? To become a member of DRCLAS. And maybe Eduardo can speak a little bit about how this happens in real life. So in terms of the benefits, as I said, we give a stipend through Fundación Luksic of a taxable $35,000, irrespective of length of residency. So again, even if in the application you say, I want to stay for a full year, you only get $35,000. That stipend also doesn't change whether you come with dependents or not. We also provide up to $4,000 in relocation expenses for you and your dependents. So the dependents are the spouse traveling with you, and your children of less than 21 years old. We provide emergencies and urgent care health insurance for you and your dependents, and we sponsor J1 visa. J1 visa for you, J2 visa for your dependents. So in terms of eligibility, there are three main criteria that you need to fill in order to be a good candidate for the Visiting Scholars and Fellows program. The first one is that you must be able to be in Cambridge for the duration of the fellowship. So I know, this is hard as an academic, as a practitioner, but we do require for you to be here for the duration of your stay. You're also required to be proficient in English. So we get a lot of questions about this. And the first thing is all materials of the application need to be in English. And we assess proficiency via different ways. But one is a conversation with the program director, with me, after you're selected. And we emphasize proficiency in conversation and in comprehension, because we want you to be able to fully partake in the research community and to be able to present your work. And so that's why it is an important part. It also matters because it is an immigration requirement to be a J1 scholar, to have some form of assessment of your English proficiency. The other big requirement is that, so we have two categories of applicants, scholars and fellows. For scholars, you're required to have a PhD, and you need to have an affiliation to a Chilean university or a research institution at the time of application. This means that if you recently graduated from your PhD, if you're looking for a postdoc, this is not the program for you. You need to already kind of be working at a university, but if you want to you're in the postdoc trajectory, we want to see your application in a few years, hopefully. For fellows, on the other hand, a PhD is not required, but we do expect fellows to have a very strong professional and academic trajectory, and to have expertise in their fields. And we expect them to have a strong scholarly bent. This means that as practitioners, you have a project that is oriented towards research and that you want to engage in research communities. And another big eligibility criteria, of course, is to submit your application before the deadline, which is September 23rd. So just to walk you through the actual process. So from our DRCLAS website, where it says apply to be a visiting scholar, you will see it will guide you to our application portal in Community Force. You need to do a login with your name, your email, and you will see this this first screen with the program, the deadline, again, September 23rd at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time, and you just click to apply. And then you're going to see there's 4 main sections of the application. And you'll be able to track your progress in how you're filling out those sections, and you won't be able to submit your application until they are complete. So the first 2 sections are very straightforward, right? Provide us with your personal information, your contact information, and then provide us with your professional information, so your affiliation, what university or research institution you belong to, and already your project title and a brief description of the project. So an abstract of 300 words of your project. We also recommend you strongly to save as you go, because with these portals, sometimes you close the browser and then you lose everything you've done, and it's very frustrating. And again, if you have any technical difficulties with the portal, I'm also here to answer questions. The other 2 main sections of the application is the attachment sections. So attachment section, we ask you to upload a CV in English, in PDF format, and a project description. And I would urge you to focus on this project description. It is a 3 to 4 page proposal telling us what you need, what you want to do with your time at Harvard, what you want to research, what a project is. And I would recommend you to be very specific about how you would benefit from becoming part of the Harvard community. So I would advise you to spend some time looking at, the multiple research institutes, departments, faculty, who you think will be very beneficial for your research or for your project, and tell us in your project description. So it's the big part. Take your time, do it with time, edit. And then the last part is that you need to request 2 letters of recommendation. So the platform asks you to put their names and their emails of your 2 recommenders. These are people who can speak to your trajectory, to the project you want to do at Harvard. And the portal will send the request to them, and they will need to submit it and upload it to the portal. So you will get notified when your recommenders have submitted their letters, but we do recommend you to, to reach out to them to remind them to do this. They need to submit their letters before the September 23rd deadline. And finally, we get a lot of questions about what it is to live in Cambridge. And again, Eduardo can speak to this as well. And these come in four main topics. The first one is housing. So we do not provide accommodation, and we do not kind of find accommodation for you. We do give you a lot of information early on about what, the process to find rental housing in the Cambridge area, but you are responsible to secure your housing. So we recommend you do this early. It's the same case with public schools. So if you're traveling with children, we provide information about public schools in the area. We also organize a panel with families of past visiting scholars, so that you can, gain firsthand information and advice about what it means to register your kids to public school, what you need to do, what are the timelines. The other thing we get a lot of questions about is the library system, because as a scholar and fellow, you have access to the Harvard library system. We do a presentation early on by a librarian on the resources, the multiple resources you have for your research, and kind of how to use them. And finally, we share with you a crowded source document done by DRCLAS staff about fun things to do in Cambridge, places to eat, and like our advice for living in this area. So again, here is my email. We will put it in the chat. Thank you so much for your interest. And if you have any follow-up questions, if you have any trouble with your application, reach out. And we're looking forward to seeing them before September 23rd. Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, Maria. And again, we'll send a copy of the recording of this presentation and the actual presentation itself to you via email. And we will now pass it over to Eduardo, a Luksic scholar who went to Harvard DRCLAS in 2022. He's going to share a bit about his firsthand program experience with us. So Eduardo, if you could just, share what your experience was like, why this program, and what a day in the life of a Harvard DRCLAS visiting scholar looks like.
Okay. Well, hello everyone, and thank you, Gabriel, for the invitation. So my name is Eduardo Undurraga. I'm an associate professor at the School of Government in Universidad Católica. I was originally trained as an engineer, but then did a PhD in social policy and now work on global health. So a lot of interdisciplinary work. I was a Luksic scholar at the David Rockefeller Center in 2022 in the fall. And I went there with my family and 3 kids. They were 6, 9, and 11 when during our stay in Boston. And I had lived there previously in Boston and Atlanta for a few years also. So I sort of knew the area a little bit. So there's a ton of good reasons to apply for the program. I think this is really an outstanding program, and basically they give you everything you need to work. So a very nice office, access to all, I think 70 libraries in Harvard, plus sports facilities, a great cohort of academics interested in Latin America or the Americas more broadly, a weekly interdisciplinary seminar, tons of networking opportunities with other scholars from other programs. I mean, the DRCLAS is just one among many at Harvard. I'm still collaborating actually with one of a professor from Universidad Católica del Perú, who was a Radcliffe scholar when I was there as a Luksic scholar, and we just came back from Peru. Actually, we spent there for 2 weeks in the Amazon in July. So I mean, there's a lot of networking opportunities, and so also not only in our program but also in other programs at Harvard. The other thing that it's really nice is that they give you a lot of funding, or and there's no strings attached. So, I mean, they just give you space, they give you resources, and they trust your work, and everyone works really hard. So, I also had a really good time and learned a lot. So, let me give you a few advices to those looking to apply, and then a few tips about living in Cambridge. Those who are looking to apply, I mean, this is I stayed there for 6 months. So, I mean, to me, it was a chance to step away from my daily routine and really reflect on my research as a mid-career researcher. So is my research relevant? What are my long-term goals? Does my research impact the lives of others in Chile and also in the Americas more broadly? And I think we really need to think about what the objective of this 4-month or 6-month or year stay. The objectives for me were sharpening my research skills, and I was part of a research seminar in causal inference in epidemiology. I had a lot of opportunities to interact with colleagues in the School of Public Health, but also in my cohort at the DRCLAS seminar, and also to create new networks, and also to revisit old collaborators from previous years and previous work in Cambridge. And the second important question that Maria also mentioned is that you really need to think hard about why at Harvard, you know? So is there anything, I mean, how would living at Harvard or living in Boston help you move your research agenda forward or your professional agenda forward? And that's a really key question. So a few things about living in Cambridge. So my family and I rented a family unit in Belmont. It's maybe a 20-minute ride from Harvard Square. And very near the Waverly train station. So the neighborhood has really good schools, public schools, has a really good public transport. You know, there's a lot of buses, there's a train, has very nice parks, and it was very near Cambridge. So, I mean, most people think that they have to live in Cambridge. I think Cambridge is expensive, and there's other neighborhoods that you may want to consider. There's a lot of fun things to do in Cambridge with your family also. I mean, we took the train, actually 2 blocks from our house we took the train to the TD Garden to see the Celtics and the Bruins. We went there several times. We also see the Red Sox, the New England Patriots, you know, a lot of sports. We went to concerts, we went camping, we went to the beach. So there's a lot of nice things to do around Boston also. We visited Washington, we visited New York, we ate a lot of pizza, drank a lot of beer, you know, so it was a lot of work and a lot of fun also. So, I mean, basically heaven. So for those who have kids, my family and I, of course, used the emergency health insurance. So one of my kids broke one of his arms playing football in school, and it was great. I mean, they covered all the expenses, and also my youngest boy broke one of his tooth 3 weeks after we moved to the USA. So we had a dental service, emergency service, and also you know, a broken arm, and it worked very well. So I guess that's it. I mean, I really recommend the scholarship. It's a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity to do networking. It's a great opportunity to advance your career. I mean, it's a lot of fun. You get good funding, and there's a lot of nice and fun things to do in Cambridge. So totally recommend it. And then there's also the last thing I want to mention. There's also an active network of Luksic scholars here at Chile. So I've been invited to more professional training here. So we had last year a course on to improve our teaching skills. So we've had a few invitations to, have breakfast with the international guests and lunch here and there, and for drinks a few weeks ago. So, I mean, there's a lot of, it's an active community, and it's really nice to be a part of. So that's it.
Thanks, Eduardo. No, and it's lovely hearing your experience on just the amount of support, also for your kids, of course. I'm glad that they were safe and healthy and fine. And yes, in terms of sort of the types of activities, definitely very active Luksic Scholars community. Harvard DRCLAS also has that sense of community as well, and making those connections. I guess my last question for you, Eduardo, is do you think the program helped benefit the relationship between your institution and Harvard? Was there sort of any link there?
Well, yeah, definitely. Well, one very concrete example is the one I was talking before with this Roberto Sariquey. He's a linguist from Universidad Católica del Perú. And I mean, we started a collaboration. We actually met at a lunch in June's house. June is the editor of Revista, the Harvard Latin American Harvard Review of Latin America, I think it's called. So I mean, that's a very concrete way in which it has helped our universities get together. But also, I mean, I also started a collaboration with a professor from the public school at Harvard, and that has also benefited some of my students. So. I mean, it's a working process also. I mean, I just went there 2 years ago, and I mean, we're still seeing, if things happening after
The result.